is up, guys? Brian here. Got an emergency video. Why is Ethereum Classic mooning right now and why it'll probably continue? Hint, because nobody can get out, or at least on some exchanges. So if you're new to the crypto game, you might be asking yourself, what is Ethereum Classic versus Ethereum? In 2016, there was basically a major hack, and they did a hard fork. And actually, Ethereum Classic is the original chain that continued on with the original blocks. But basically, Ethereum is essentially, they kind of blacklisted those blocks, or kind of take those out of the blockchain so that the hacker couldn't take those funds. And Ethereum Classic, I've always felt like it mainly kind of rides on the coattails of the Ethereum development, which is fine. And there are certain things that they're going to do a little bit different than Ethereum, you know, kind of as time goes on and stuff like that. But dApps are compatible on Ethereum Classic that have been built for Ethereum, which is kind of a benefit if someone wants to run on that other chain. And I do have a position in Ethereum Classic, and my thinking behind it was, as Ethereum, the blocks are, you know, full, that in a situation where we are in parabolic moves, that we would be able to move the Ethereum Classic better. Now let's take a look, and this is actually from December 11th, 2018. And you see some of my purchases that day, and you see Ethereum Classic, or Ether Classic, whatever you want to call it, 101 of them, and you see the price 0.0011 of a Bitcoin. Now, if we look at it today, you have a price of 0.0013. So actually my investment, as far as that goes, has outpaced Bitcoin. And that's why I tell you guys a lot, when the alts go parabolic, you know, even if Bitcoin is having good gains and stuff like that, when alts go parabolic, a lot of times, not only do they go parabolic to the US dollar, they go parabolic in comparison to Bitcoin if you look at the orangish line there. So you see, obviously, in 2017, you see, you know, in relation to Bitcoin, it goes parabolic compared to the Bitcoin price and the US dollar price. Now, during last summer, we did, you know, get up there in this 950 range kind of thing. And then now we're above that, actually, compared to the US dollar. You know, 12.25, and then once again, in a little bit over a year since my investment, we have actually outpaced the price of Bitcoin if I would have just held Bitcoin. So anyway, your boy was going to make a move. I didn't want to get too greedy on this one because there's certain things with Ethereum Classic that I thought, you know, it'll probably pull back. I mean, it could keep pumping. This is what I was thinking prior to finding out what I found out. But you know, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered, if you ever were a Jim Cramer fan at any point. And that's a very true statement. So I didn't want to get too greedy kind of thing. And I figured, you know, the safe bet is to at least partially put some of the Ethereum Classic back into Bitcoin, or to peg it temporarily, wait for the pullback, and then end up with more Ethereum Classic, or end up with more Bitcoin. So anyway, you guys see that, you see the move from back then, you kind of get what I'm doing. So then what happened is I sent from cold storage, I actually sent some Ethereum Classic over to Kraken. And Kraken's my favorite exchange, favorite fiat gateway, let's just say that. I like the way a lot of things are handled and stuff like that. So anyway, here was customer service. I said, hi, I deposited ETC several hours ago, and for some reason it keeps saying confirming in Kraken, or on Kraken, whatever. Hello, I'm Atlas. ETC requires 43,200 confirmations. It takes about 1 week. I'm like, what the hell? Why? And then Atlas says, it is what is required since the ETC blockchain had a 51% attack. And I was like, that was a year ago. You know, so anyway, Atlas provided a link, and if you look at that, it kind of shows some of the confirmation times and stuff like that for different different blockchains. And, like for Bitcoin, they do 6 confirmations, 60 minutes. Obviously slow in itself, but that's pretty traditional. Dash, 6 confirmations, 15 minutes, so on and so forth. EOS, near instant. So, you see that stuff. Nano, 5 minutes. Ripple, near instant. And then, oops, passed it. Ethereum Classic, 43,200 confirmations, approximately 1 week. So I was just totally kind of blown away by that. And I think something similar is kind of going on with Coinbase as well. I think that they have, extended the time zone out because of that 51% attack that happened like a year ago. So be cognizant of that, guys, if you're trying to make a move. And actually, I think that is going to cause, because people that were going to take profits or switch into something else, they kind of can't. If they're running into a situation too, which I guarantee they are, because if you have, in my position there, I had some other in cold storage. It wasn't just, just kind of the 101, that I bought or whatever there. There was a bigger position, not a huge trade, nothing like that. But what I'm trying to say is, like, let's just say someone had, 2,000 Ethereum Classic or 3,000 of them or this or that. Then they probably were in cold storage. They were on some other wallet. They probably didn't leave it hanging on the exchange. And they're probably running into the same situation. So hopefully this pump will continue. And who knows, I won't be crying if this gets up to like $30 or something, and then it becomes available, and then I can take some profits or move into something else. Moving on, so Bittrex, because I was first going to send the ETC to Bittrex, and guess what? Based on your locale, it looks like we need a bit more information. They wanted my social security number. And to be honest with you, this is very upsetting for a couple reasons. Because, for one, in crypto, obviously, it is a push transaction, and that's part of the reason why it has that superiority over, let's say, the credit card system, which is a pull transaction. You guys have probably heard this relationship before, that essentially, when you're pushing the funds to them, but, like if you go to the grocery store and you swipe a credit card, it's a pull transaction, and it reads all the information, your name, your address, and the number on it. So it's extracting all the information about you and about the card and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, with cryptocurrencies, it's not like that. They don't have your information in the same capacity. There's not as much information about you. So these exchanges having to do this, and in Bittrex defense, they're trying to protect themselves because they don't want to run afoul of like government regulations and stuff like that. So they're almost like overstepping. The thing that I will fault Bittrex on is, instead of kind of setting a timeline and letting people get their stuff out and then kind of warning people over time, they'll just cut you out. If you had funds out there, your funds are locked up. They are withholding your funds, and they want your information in exchange for the funds, kind of thing. And that's one thing I definitely don't like. And that actually happened to me back in 2016 or 2017 with Bittrex, where it was I sent some funds over there, and it was no, you have to provide this and this and this and this, kind of thing. And so I remember I had to take a selfie and do all that kind of stuff, and now it's asking for my social security number. So I don't know if some of you guys have been running into that, but it is upsetting. And like I said here in this post, the next thing you'll know, with Bittrex, with everybody putting their information in, it'll be like, oh, sorry, we got hacked, and all your info, including your social security number, was obtained by hackers. We're sorry, and it'll be like your name, your address, copy of your passport, social security number, all this kind of stuff. And no thank you. So it is a bad situation, guys. And we're, in the United States, we're dealing with this more and more and more. They want all kinds of information from us. So these exchanges like Hotbit, they're looking a lot better. And I haven't actually used Hotbit. I know a lot of people that have, and have had, a good experience with it. And then I'll have all that. Other people are doing, obviously VPNs into Binance, kind of the international version. People are using KuCoin, all these kind of things like that. And it's just, this is going to be a recurring theme. These exchanges are going to want more and more and more information from us over time, and that is upsetting. So, all in all, guys, if you have Ethereum Classic and you're trying to make a move, be cognizant that you could be dealing with 43,200 confirmations to get your funds to show up. And I think that is going to actually continue, maybe kind of this push, because people can't get out that wanted to take funds, and larger holders probably didn't leave it hanging on exchanges. They probably had it in cold storage, so they had it on some of their wallet. And like you can see, from this transaction, I bought this December 11th of 2018. So it was over a year ago. And even at this point, I wasn't really planning on selling it. It's a little bit against my rules to some capacity, because you guys know my 5x rule, 10x, 20x. Get to 5x, take 20% of it off, essentially. Then you got skin out of the game. Then you're riding on icing, kind of thing. And that's a typical thing. But with this particular thing, and with Ethereum Classic being in ranked number 10 on CoinMarketCap, to me that seemed a little bit advanced for what it is, and I was ahead in comparison to Bitcoin. So what are your guys' thoughts? Have you guys ran into any of these situations on any of these exchanges with Ethereum Classic? And also, did you guys run into the situation with exchanges like Bittrex trying to lock you out? Anyway, leave a comment below. Please give a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys later.